Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Another spectacular companion. They're all phenomenal. You've got to fall in love with all the companions. But today is someone that basically is behind his brother's shade. We don't hear much about him, and that is Hisham ibn A'as. Hisham is the brother of Amr ibn A'as, the one that conquers countries. Hisham ibn A'as, subhanallah, we realize that his father, also Amr ibn A'as, the father, was As ibn Wa'il. He is the one that makes mockery of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that's when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends verses explicitly cursing, of course, As ibn Wa'il. Hisham is the one that, subhanAllah, embraces Islam at early stages in Darul Arqam. And when he embraces Islam, subhanAllah, what happens eventually? He migrates to Abyssinia. When they migrate to Abyssinia, what happens at that time? Of course, you hear the stories that they hear that the Quraysh have embraced Islam. But what happened in reality was the Prophet ﷺ prayed Surah Najm. When he recited that, all the Quraysh, they fell down in prostration, and everyone thought they had embraced Islam. The message reached Abyssinia, and all the people thought that what's happened is that the people of Mecca have embraced Islam. They all came back, and that's when Hisham ibn al-As was imprisoned for an entire decade. He was imprisoned so much, subhanAllah, and they would beat him up, they would torture him. Even his brother Amr ibn A'as would torture him, and they would torture him in such a manner that he would lose in consciousness, subhanAllah. And of course, it was at that time when he, subhanAllah, uttered words of kufr, and subhanAllah, they felt so bad that I've said something against our beautiful deen. And Umar al-Khattab sent him a message saying, لا تقنطوا من رحمة الله. Do not become despondent in the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's after Khandaq, after Battle of Ahzab, the Prophet says, is there anybody that is going to go and rescue Hisham ibn As and Ayyash ibn Rabi'ah? And that's when, subhanAllah, Walid ibn Walid is the brother of Khalid. And he says that, Ya Rasulullah, I will go and I will save them, Ya Rasulullah. And what happens? Walid makes his way to Mecca knowing that his brother Khalid is still an enemy of Islam. And he could get captured, and he could get imprisoned, and he could get tortured. However, he says, Ya Rasulullah, let me go and rescue them. So Walid ibn Walid makes his way all the way to Mecca. Eventually, he finds Hisham ibn As and Ayyash ibn Rabi'ah, and he says that when I saw them, I realized they were so weak. I got them up and I picked them up and I put them on the horse and I made them come all the way back to, subhanAllah, Medina, to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He says that eventually, Hisham ibn A'as, that eventually my brother Amr ibn A'as does embrace Islam. Subhanallah, that's a story in itself, and I'll share with you the story of Amr ibn A'as later on. Subhanallah, we realize that Hisham ibn A'as is the one who dies during the Battle of Yarmouk, subhanallah. And they say that if they were to pick his body, remains of his body, subhanallah, that would compromise the win. So therefore, Amr ibn As says that, let my brother be. Why? Because his soul has already entered Jannah, even though his body was in multiple pieces. We find out that, subhanallah, once Amr ibn As was doing tawaf, and I finish off with this, and there were youngsters saying that, look, you got Amr ibn As over there, and Hisham ibn As, of course, his brother's passed away. Who's better, Hisham or Amr ibn As? Amr ibn As says that, you know what, when he approaches him and speaks to him and says that, look, my brother was accepted as a shaheed. Allah has left me behind, so therefore my brother is much more better. Even though we'll hear more about Amr ibn As later on, subhanallah. Phenomenal companions. Fall in love with them, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.